This show is brought to you by Go Live TV. Download the app now.
The way the system is set up, and it's wrong, but the way the system is set up, the government, they say, okay, we'll take 300,000, but we'll encourage 1 million applications, but we'll only accept 300,000. 2016, the Liberal minister at the time was John McCullum, and through his political colleagues, members of Parliament, Peter Fonseca and Sonia Sidhu, they announced the pilot project for undocumented skilled trades workers. What did the government do? Didn't even open his file. The new minister, Ahmed Hussein, started playing politics. Specifically, on February 23, the minister wrote a letter saying the project does not yet exist, but it's being reviewed. If you want to stall, that's your business. I don't care. The problem is, Minister, that you are deporting people. When the Queen makes a commitment, the Queen never lies. And that's the foundation of our entire system. So when the minister who speaks for the Queen makes a commitment and says there will be families processed under this pilot project, it's gonna happen. Trudeau was in opposition. He came to Downsview Park and he said he recognizes a problem with undocumented workers in Toronto, in the GTA. We're talking up to 500,000 people. And each of these people comes attached with families, Canadian voting families, and employers. And undocumented workers do.
Here we are. Joe Volpe, publisher of Corriere Canadese, and after that kind of introduction, you don't need an introduction from me. So I'm here on behalf of Go Live TV, Corcan Media Group, and I'm your interviewer, host today on Law and Reality. I guess I should move out of the way so everybody can see what it says. There we go, Law and Reality. And the main interviewee, the guest on this is, of course, Richard Boras,
Sir,
who has appeared most recently in a series of articles on immigration law, and the reality of people who have been put on notice that they're going to be exported, kicked out of the country, deported, or who find themselves in other difficulties. Of course, it's easy to make names now because they've become international.
Sure.
That's the Dimitri family.
That's right.
They're written up
Good
by
people,
the UK Guardian, the National Post here in Canada, a whole series of newspapers in Italy, and of course the Corriere Canadese. But anyway, we want to talk about the main theme, about the damage, the cost, the consequences of not caring. So the law is there when people don't care.
Well, Joe, when we say caring, the show today is about not caring, the government not caring, Trudeau and Hussein not caring with their soul, but not caring about the consequences of them breaking the rule of law. And as you know, the rule of law has been front and center now for the last little while, or the SNC-Lavalin matter. But today, I think, not that we should be taking bows and kudos, but I think we should take pride of place when it comes to the Corriere being
That's
the first.
Corriere Canadese.
Canadese.
You know, you're already making some assumptions there that these people are already guilty of something, right?
Well, if we can put up the John Ibbitson thing, it isn't. I knew you were going to. I knew you were going to.
Well, I'm cautious by nature.
Well, you're cautious by nature, but Joe, I think you're being overly cautious on this one because, yes, the SNC-Lavalin matter has led serious people to make serious allegations or accusations and statements of fact, not lowly little lawyers like me. We get the Globe and Mail saying, and it's on the screen now, the core question in the SNC-Lavalin affair is whether Justin Trudeau and his advisors respect the law. That's the question. And the Globe answers, Joe. The answer appears to be that they have no respect for it at all. So you can be as cautious as you want. That's your nature. I respect that. But your paper led the way in throwing gasoline on the fire of the government not showing any respect for the consequences of breaking the rule of law in immigration.
I plead guilty to actually having shed light
and
on the situation.
No, hold on. I'm taking a few bows here for everybody. And Go Live TV was the first media outlet in this country that said that this government breaching, ignoring, whatever, the rule of law would face criminal consequences. At the time, everybody said, oh, Go Live is off the deep end. Oh, Go Live is being rash. Well, guess what? The line forms to the left around the block with all the folks in the media now making that a real possibility. But we're not here to discuss SNC-Lavalin, if I can suggest.
It's only been about 5 minutes. You've
Well.
done well so far.
The issue here is, Joe, now, I've noticed on these TV programs you're very cautious, but when I read your paper, boy, you let the hammer loose sometimes on the rule of law, whether it was the kids being deported, whether it was substituted evaluation, those issues where there was a law going this way and reality going that way.
Well, the law, can I just stop you there for a second so you can catch a deep breath here for a moment? Yeah, no, seriously. So you've mentioned 3 issues, well, 4. 3 of them having to do with immigration, the 4th one having to do with SNC-Lavalin. Yes, we wrote about SNC-Lavalin quite some time ago.
That's right.
Yeah, we talked about its practices on the international stage.
And you were hard at, you were the first guy out there that was really tough on this one.
Well, because one of the things that we did is we stripped the issue of any semblance of national or patriotic interest. It's a company that was doing business in the international marketplace, and they were employing tactics that we wouldn't accept here. We shouldn't accept here,
right.
and that the law doesn't accept here.
Yeah.
So we said that, and people said, "Oh no, well, come on, maybe you're." I think you were one of them, because I said, well, here the chairman of that corporation, who at one point was honored.
You're the first paper, the first guy who actually wrote about the ownership of SNC being the Quebec, a serious position, the Quebec government. And you were the first guy who triangulated the jobs and the politics of the issue.
So, I thank you for that, but I still did it with caution, because I did my due diligence, I did my research, I happened to know something about it before I entered into the fray. But you thought I was being unduly harsh on the then chairman of SNC-Lavalin, who, as I said, he was, the CEO of the year. And that the CEO of the year said, oh, we didn't know anything about that. I'm the chairman of this board. Great international board, great icon of Canada, but I didn't know anything about this. Oh, by the way, one of my assistants was giving money to Gaddafi's son, otherwise we wouldn't have been able to get those infrastructure.
Business.
Well, it's business may be business, but the law says you can't do business
right.
that way.
That's right.
So, I don't apologize for the Corriere taking that position. That's what it should do. Others are doing it now, great. So you pointed out to the Globe and Mail. Well, I'm not saying that we're competitors of the Globe and Mail. They're a big publication. We're a niche market. Corriere Canadese is small. It doesn't pretend to be in the same league as the Globe and Mail. But from an ethical position, we occupy similar space.
And you occupied that position on immigration that no other media outlet in this country will take, even though on SNC-Lavalin, the ballyhoo was Trudeau protecting 9,000 jobs. And here in Toronto, we'll discuss that later. The validity of...
It isn't 9,000 jobs, it's 3,200 in Quebec.
Whatever.
Okay.
But in Toronto, in the GTHA, in Toronto-Hamilton, we're looking at 500,000. 10% of the population is undocumented. We're talking a lot of jobs, a little bit more than 3,000 or 9,000.
Let's call it national interest for a moment. Do you either take these people, do you let these people stay here, or do you get rid of them? So before
we get into that, today is the rule of law. Now, I've got a question of you. You dealt with all these high-class people. I'm just a lowly lawyer, right? Now, what SNC, the point I want to make, SNC either went to the government or the government went to SNC, and the Prime Minister's office, I'll be charitable and say the office, and SNC agreed they'd have to fix a problem.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong. That's why we elect governments, to fix problems. And the way they fixed it may not have been all that kosher. And that's why we have what the public calls a scandal. Now, the question is,
Why don't we clarify something for a second? Just
No, I don't want to get...
Hold your breath. Really, what they discovered, like other countries discovered, that SNC-Lavalin was in breach of the law. Now, when you're in breach of the law, you're the lawyer, you get charged, and you go before a judge. The problem is that the consequence is that SNC-Lavalin wouldn't be able to bid on any government contracts for 10 years. Some people think that that's a little bit too onerous. So what do you do when you don't like the law that says that? Well, you know, and this is legitimate, you change the law, or you lobby to change the law.
Okay.
Wait, where did all this stuff fall apart? Is that when they changed the law, SNC-Lavalin still apparently couldn't meet the very low standard that they had asked for in the law. Period. That's all.
SNC is nothing compared to the degree of criminality that is being overlooked in the GTHA by the PMO with 500,000 illegal people. We're talking about thousands of Canadian employers, probably including SNC, every construction company, every union, every university, every employer in this town of any consequence is breaking the law by hiring illegal, undocumented worker.
And in every such case, as you know, they're liable for a, what is it, $2,000 fine or $50,000 fine and 2 years in
prison.
jail.
Now, that's somewhat more significant than SNC in Quebec. The question of today, we've rehashed all of these facts many times, but we were right about saying that Ottawa was breaking the law, ignoring the rule of law with immigration in the GTHA. The question for today is, what did the PMO promise to the big boys, the unions, the corporations, the universities? The list goes around the block to make sure that they don't go to jail and pay the fines.
Well, you know, I'm sorry, I don't have an inside track on what's in the behind the.
You were
motivation.
minister. Did you ever promise to fix anything?
I heard.
No,
you
I know
say
you
word.
didn't. I know you didn't, Joe. I know you didn't. But all I know is that young Justin is going to, and I don't want to get close to this. In this part of the city, these are very sensitive issues, and I don't want to cast any aspersions on any particular sector or corporate group in this town.
But you've done that. Just a second. But
That,
you
no,
have
no.
done it.
The question is, I want to protect, and people don't believe me when I say this, but I don't want to see our friends in various corporate sectors being conned by Trudeau and his henchmen into saying, we will help, we will fix things for you.
Okay, but
because that's what he told SNC.
So obviously that hasn't worked. So
well, is it work? No, I don't care about that. Is what did he promise to the interests in Toronto?
Well, why don't we move away from the partisan political angle and just take a look at
No,
some
I'm not being partisan.
No, but let's move away from the political angle for a moment. So, again,
It's not political, it's criminal.
I'm not going to apologize for the position that the Corriere has taken on the undocumented workers.
I'm not going after Corriere. I'm going after our friend
minute.
Trudeau and his thugs.
Well, I want
We were the first operation to go after Jerry Butts, and people attacked us for that. He's gone.
Well, you know, but you're doing what you have to do to advocate for
That's right.
the undocumented workers.
Yeah.
We've taken that on as an issue because we think it's important. We think yes, to use language that sometimes charges, it borders on the criminal that you would overlook the fact that there are 500,000 people and their families that are put in a state of limbo.
Put those people aside. The focus.
No, you
maybe,
can't put them aside.
No,
I'm sorry. It's 500,000 people.
We have been yakking about those people since the cows came home.
I'm not yakking about them. I'm trying to indicate that these are real, live human beings.
I know all that. We all know that.
Well, somebody doesn't.
Well, exactly. Because the corporations, the big corporate bodies of all ilk, and I'm not attacking them, but they know they're liable to criminal charges because they're hiring illegal workers.
And they don't care.
Well,
so
I don't know if...
The headline here was the consequences of not caring.
The consequences of not caring. What is that the government does not care if they're... Not only are they causing pain on the workers, I'm suggesting they're causing fear with the employers, the unions, the schools that are surviving because of their undocumented workers. And Trudeau and his gang of gonifs, what they're doing here is they're leaning on the unions, they're leaning on the corporations, they're leaning on the guys who are fearing the criminal consequences of undocumented workers.
I don't know what you had in your coffee.
Well, I tell you what about coffee, Joe. We scored a great victory over the last year because now, a year ago, they were saying we were nuts for accusing the PMO of running a scam. And now it's
so let's get back down to what the law is saying, because we said.
Well, we know what the law says. We know the employers are breaking the law, and Trudeau's running a protection racket for them. That's what's going on. The same way he did for SNC-Lavalin.
So this is a problem that dates back to before Trudeau.
Yep.
And so, from my perspective, if there's any guilt associated with this, it's from the Trudeau's government unwillingness to make a change that they recognized at the very beginning needed to be done. There was a formula in place to resolve the undocumented, irregular worker situation. Because people are here, they're integrated, they're earning a living. Are they being abused, taken advantage of? Not in all cases. In some cases, yes. Our obligation as a society is to make sure that all of those abuses are kept to an absolute minimum and eliminated entirely.
We're not going to...
No, but that's what our obligation is. So,
but the employers aren't living up to that obligation. They're not lobbying for that obligation.
Somebody is not applying the law. Now, you've heard us say and seen us write that the minister responsible for CBSA either has to turn around and say, you know what, the law doesn't apply, we don't care, because they can do that.
Yeah.
Or he can just simply say, you know what, we got a job to do. Let's pack up all these men, women, and children and send them away. Now, that will force a decision on policy. But and it will do something that
it's good theory, Joe. It's not reality.
But you have to start from something.
Oh, we've been starting for the last 40 years on that. We've got nowhere.
Well, you know, I mean, there's another solution. And that's not, I'm not going to offer that solution to you.
Which is?
So we had the Dimitri case, we had the Neves case, we had cases of men and women, mothers and fathers with kids, some of them born here. And you've got a recalcitrant, there's another word.
Oh, high class.
You know, an obdurate, stubborn minister of immigration. You know, it makes me embarrassed.
He's the head water boy. He's taking instructions.
Just a minute. He has muddied the water so much because he has said, and this is where we come back to the title, he has said, as recently as 2 weeks ago, there's 130,000 jobs begging for workers here in this province, number one. Number two, if you want to go to another province, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, PEI, you know, you can do it. None of the rules will apply. Well, you know, if you have law, it applies to everybody. So the moment that you invalidate a law by introducing a principle that, you know, you can go to another place and we won't apply the law anywhere without addressing the 500,000 person gorilla right here at home, then, you know, you have a serious political problem. I don't want to get so charged up that I'm going to be going after this.
I think
I'm supposed to be interviewing you, and here you are. You're on a rant. Whatever.
well,
That's why I asked you
I'm
what you had
not.
in your coffee.
It isn't just a rant. I'm happy. I'm happy for my clients. I'm happy for the issue because this issue, as we always say, is the law and reality. And you, as always, and thank you, you're approaching it from a logical policy perspective, and you will not be deflected from that position no matter what. Period.
Trying to be a good publisher. That's all I
maybe
can say.
that's what it is. You got this ability. Me, I'm just a simple advocate. Okay, and when I advocate for my people and I smell blood, I go for it.
Okay.
And the blood
So
here
why don't we-
is that it's called reality. You're talking
So
law.
now we've got the reality. We're at the end of our
reality
show.
is
We're at the end of the
that
show.
these guys, they've been exposed for what they are.
Well, they're in a lot of hot water right now. That's true enough.
No, this is just the
what
beginning.
What we want to do is we want to keep all of our viewers on track. And on track means several things. Yes, there's a principle of law. There's a principle of good politics at stake. There's also the principle of humanitarian and compassionate grounds that it's inflicted upon people like the Dimitri, their family right now. I can't believe the insensitivity of
Isn't it
whoever it is.
amazing?
But it doesn't matter. We'll continue on.
Yeah.
We're struck by the insensitivity of the government with respect to the Nevish family
Absolutely.
as well. I just mentioned two because that gives us an opportunity to put a face and a name to an issue. And the absolute nonsense and inconsequential approach to having 500,000 people in your own backyard who are your friends and neighbors who want to make Canada work, and you can't find anything to do about them. That's why we said, here's what we do. It's law and the consequences of not caring. And if there's a fallout today, you pointed out to the Globe and Mail, etc. They finally discovered that actually caring is important.
A miracle.
So kudos to the Globe and Mail for finally discovering that people around here do care, but they're not in the Ottawa bubble. So thank you for following Go Live TV. Law and Reality.
I want the last shot on this one.
Okay, you can say goodbye, just as I've said goodbye.
I want the
Take
last
care.
shot. No, I want the last shot. My father used to say, the fish stinks from the head. We can talk law, we can talk reality, but when there's a smell,
but he
when
wants
there
to
is
talk
a
politics.
smell,
We'll
you
talk
look for the
politics later.
fish.
Thank you very much.
Sir.
Thank you guys for being with us, and thank you everyone for following us. Obviously, Richard Borax gets animated as well as he gets studious. Take care. All the best. Ciao.